Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Turkey's Foreign Minister, Ahmet Davutoglu. He's in Paris to meet his French counterpart, but also for a meeting of the so-called Friends of Syria. And we're actually going to begin with Syria, if you don't mind. Do you think the moment of truth is arriving for Syria and for its leader, Bashar al-Assad?
In fact, it should have been arrived much earlier, because in the last 15 months, more than 15 months now, there is continuing massacre, atrocities, heavy shellings, artillery shells, helicopter shelling to the crowded cities full of civilians, and El Hule and other massacres. So the moment of truth, I can say, has delayed in that sense. And now it is time to act more firmly as international community and as all institutions of international system in order to prevent these massacres and bloodshed.
Explain me what you mean by acting more firmly. There have been efforts, diplomatic efforts at the United Nations. They've gone nowhere, mostly because of Russia and China's opposition. Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, has tried to mediate. It's also going nowhere. What do you mean by acting more firmly?
In fact, in the last 15 months, we tried everything. As Turkey, we tried bilateral engagement in order to convince them for reforms and not to make massacres. It was not successful. Then we had regional engagement with Arab League. It also did not produce much because of the continuing aggression by the regime. Then we had UN processes, and lastly we had Geneva meeting in Geneva, and we had a text which we agreed all upon. But the Geneva meeting, as I told there, is called Action Group for Syria, Action Group, not observer, not others. Now it is time to act, to make more pressure on Syrian regime to stop this bloodshed, and put a clear roadmap so that everybody must follow. Of course, this should be supported by UN Security Council.
But the roadmap should include the departure of Bashar al-Assad from power.
When we agreed in Geneva, it was clear that there is a need of a transitional government. Transitional government. Why do we need transitional government? Because the existing government is not legitimate and is not efficient to take necessary steps. Therefore, that transition government should lead to a change. It also in the text of Geneva agreement that transition involves change. Therefore, it is clear for us, this is our interpretation, the interpretation of many colleagues, that this transition should be led by someone who is credible, whose promise is credible for Syrian people and for international community. Bashar Assad doesn't have that credibility at all. He wasted all the credibility in the past.
He warned Turkey to stop meddling in Syrian affairs, accused you of supporting terrorist groups. There are some of the so-called rebels that are based in Turkey. There are reports that some weapons are going to them through Turkey. What's your answer?
Turkey never intervened in any domestic affairs of other nations. But if you have 36,000 civilians escaped from massacres, if you have daily basis tension in your border, of course it is getting a national security issue for you. And today, unfortunately, Syria is becoming more and more concerned for our national security issue. Because every day, hundreds of Syrians, sometimes thousands of Syrians, are coming to Turkey, escaping from the violence. And it is our camps are open for international press. They can come and they can see. We have, at this moment, around 36,000 refugees.
But there are also rebels among them.
Rebels, it depends how you define rebels. If protesting peacefully means rebel, of course.
The Free Syrian Army.
There are soldiers escaping, but they are reporting us that they are being instructed to attack people, and because of that, they had to escape in order not to kill civilians. this is also for us a humanitarian. If we do not accept these Syrian generals, colonels, they are not ordinary soldiers, generals are coming. And they are telling us, they are telling to international press that they are being instructed to kill their own people.
Do you see more and more defections?
Yes, yes. Every day, generals, colonels, officers are coming. We have now more than, I think, around 20 generals and maybe 100 high-rank colonels, officers, more than this. So the number is increasing because those people are escaping from this. If we do not accept them, they will be killed.
So do you think it's a sign that the regime might be crumbling if people high up in the army start leaving?
Already, a regime fighting, confronting against its own people cannot survive. And many cities are now not under no road between two big cities. For example, Aleppo and Homs is now under the control. There is a real chaos. And there is no humanitarian corridor. We don't know what is going on in certain towns and villages. Today we received news from Azaz, where there were helicopter attacks and people are dying. There is no value or norm in international law and ethics that you are shelling by artillery in distance to an urban city.
What is it, a crime against humanity?
Yes, yeah, of course.
And should Assad be prosecuted
without discriminating, even if you believe that there are some terrorists inside, you cannot shoot civilian urban areas. You have to take necessary steps without harming civilians. This is not the case. For Assad, everybody is terrorist. There are 30,000 refugees, they are terrorists. There are 3 million IDPs, internally displaced people inside Syria, they are terrorists. There are around 60,000, 70,000 defections from the army, they are terrorists. It means he declares people terrorists.
Should he be prosecuted, or should there be a deal that he should go into exile against an amnesty?
Whatever is good for Syrian people is acceptable for us. It is not our decision. And we hope, important at this stage is to stop this bloodshed. Through which ways, this could be...
could there be a military intervention?
UN should work on that. UN Security Council the mission of UN Security Council is protecting peace and stability. So now it is Syrian regime is getting every day a threat, more and more a threat for regional stability.
What about
and
NATO?
Peace.
NATO?
At this moment, it is not an issue of NATO. Of course, Turkey is a member of NATO, and our borders at the same time is a border of NATO. And there's a collective defense in NATO. But more important at this stage is to have a concerted, agreed international commitment to stop this bloodshed of all actors. Therefore, Geneva meeting was important because P5 and all regional actors were around the table. Therefore, we were hopeful, we participated, but important is how to implement. And Kofi Annan, as special envoy of UN Secretary General and Arab League Secretary General, should start the mission as early as possible. And the number of observers should be increased. And mandate should be strengthened in order to prevent these human crimes.
Last question on Syria. There was this plane downing incident. The bodies were retrieved. I believe they'll be buried on Friday.
Yes.
If there is such another incident, will Turkey only complain, or would Turkey do more?
Of course, we always declared that we are reserving our rights in international law, and such an act will not be unpunished. It is our decision how and when we will respond. But the rules of engagement has changed, as you observe. Any Syrian military vehicle or helicopter or anything approaching to Turkish border threatening our security will be treated as a hostile act.
Shut down.
I don't want to say that, but Turkey has the right to defend the border and will ability to punish any aggression against us.
Okay, I want to get to Franco-Turkish relations. There was a troubled period because of a proposal to criminalize the denial of genocide. There was really some tensions. The new president also said that he was in favor of such a law, but it seems that things are improving.
Yes, today we had an excellent meeting. I am grateful for the hospitality of my colleague, Minister Fabius. There were excellent meetings between President Hollande and President Gül, and President Hollande and Prime Minister Erdogan in Chicago and Rio. And based on those meetings, we agreed to have this bilateral visit. We went through all the files. In fact, Turkish-French relation is one of the most historic diplomatic relation in world politics. There is a huge potential of common interest. There is a huge potential of developing joint initiative in regional and global issues. Today we agreed to make a fresh start, and the high-level contacts will continue, and we will have more cooperation on many issues. I can say I am now more confident after today's meeting that Turkish-French relation is in a new era of strategic partnership.
Did you get a pledge or a guarantee that the bill that caused all the trouble will not be presented again by the new government?
The Constitutional Council has given the decision. I don't think any French government will take another risk with, to harm Turkish-French relation, and also to harm the credibility, because there is a clear decision of Constitutional Council defending freedom of opinion, freedom of speech. Therefore, it is not an issue between us anymore. And I said to my dear colleague, Mr. Fabius, that Turkey is ready to cooperate if there is any initiative by France regarding Turkish-Armenian reconciliation. We are ready to work with everybody, like what we did with Switzerland before. Or if France leaves this to historians, also we respect. But of course, we will never accept politicizing this type of historic issues because of certain domestic concern, and we observe the political wisdom of President Hollande and Minister Fabius, that they want to contribute to Turkish-Armenian reconciliation, but without violating the existing Constitutional Council decision, as well as harming Turkish-French relation.
Okay, so the message was received in Paris, it seems. Thank you very much, Ahmet Davutoglu, for coming on the France 24 interview, and thank you all for watching it. Stay tuned here on France 24 for more news.